dark episodes from kids shows. They're nothing new. From the early 80s to modern day, there have been many morbid and downright terrifying episodes from kids animation. In fact, when animation started hitting the theater screens, there was nothing but disturbing content for kids. Take that black and white Mickey Mouse short with the mad scientist who wanted to operate on Pluto. But after that awkward phase of animation, kids' content, or at least the Western world, became significantly more tame, consisting of simpler plots, overly cute characters, and nothing that could scare a baby. I'm sure that animation had some sort of obscure, unknown dark TV series before Batman. But basically, if you're gonna point at that time where kids animation was revolutionized, that would be the 90s. And that's only because of Batman the Animated Series. For crying out loud, the first episode features a monster bat creature and Batman himself bleeding. Naturally, after that more shows started taking a more darker approach, making plots and characters more complex and introducing more disturbing imagery. But these shows weren't exactly that popular, i.e. the Phantom 2040, Godzilla, etc. Then, all of a sudden, from the 2000s to around the late 2010s, more mainstream shows had this same approach. These shows are greatly remembered for their darker content. Sometimes, it's the only thing a show is remembered for. For instance, everyone's heard of Invader Sim's episode Dark Harvest, but who's actually watched that show? Over time, many of these dark episodes were immortalized in the form of content creators, creating videos listing some of the darkest moments in kids' animation. But what I've noticed is that a video made 10 years ago compared to one today is that there's literally no difference in the content of these dark episodes. If you enjoy looking for that dark content, of course you do. If not, why would you have clicked on this video? Unless, of course, you are my one-consistent viewer, whoever you are. You must be pretty dried up on dark kids animation. But what if I told you that there is an extremely terrifying episode of a kids animated series that is known for its mature content that you are guaranteed to have never heard of? Intrigued? Please me. Well, first, I'd like to shamelessly plug the animated series in question, Roswell Conspiracies, Aliens, Myths, and Legends. Please subscribe to them. A mere 1,000 subscribers, and they will release the entire Roswell Conspiracies animated series. So please subscribe to them. Link in the description. Anyways, back to the video. The episode of Roswell Conspiracies is episode 12, Voodoo Rising. Now, the perceptive in the audience might notice that Voodoo is actually the Haitian word for zombie. The concept itself originates from Haiti as well. So, not only is this episode one of the darkest in animation history, but it's also done what no other zombie piece of media has ever done. It's faithful to the source material. The episode starts with the main and one of the supporting characters, Nick Logan and Simon Fitzpatrick, revealed to be dead. Yeah, doesn't pull any punches even from the start. The two other supporting characters, Shalane and Nima, mourn this loss, only to be interrupted by General Whitaker, the leader of the Alliance, which is a secret organization dedicated to capturing and hiding aliens. He then tells them that the ship Nick and Fitz were on was in the sky, fully operational. The characters have hope that Nick and Fitz might still be alive. However, because the flying ship has no stealth, the US Air Force detected. In a desperate attempt to keep the Alliance a secret, Whitaker orders that a missile be fired at the ship, but it's too late, as a soldier has boarded the ship and was now investigating. All hope is instantly dissipated when the soldier discovers two corpses in the ship. Right off the bat, this episode does something bold. It kills off the literal main character of the series, Nick Logan. As you can probably imagine, this episode is all about zombies, and you will see the idea be used to its fullest, with a twist standard zombie formula. Also, this episode isn't overly reliant on blood or disturbing alien designs. Instead, what's scary about it is in the writing and the implicit horror it provides. There's no cheap gimmick here. This episode is just primal horror. We then go back one day, now in the perspective of Nick and Fitz, riding that same airship to Haiti to investigate the claims of zombie sightings. The characters banter for a little bit, but are taken down by a storm, losing contact with the Alliance in the process. Now stranded in the middle of a hurricane, they look for the UFO crash, likely the cause of the Vodun sightings. They enter it and find glass-like ball, but before they can investigate further, the ship slides off the peak of the waterfall it was on. They manage to escape. However, doing all this, they were being stalked by a giant bipedal panther who decides to attack them. They barely escape the UFO, but they manage to fend it off with their advanced Alliance weapons. The scene cuts and we see the Haitian people diving in the water looking for those glass orbs. The person who finds it goes to Baron Samedi.
Great Hungan, another celestial seed has been found. I offer it to you, Baron Samedi, for eternal life.
Who I just now realize is actually based off a Haitian undead trickster also called Baron Samedi from folklore. The Baron takes the glass orb and rewards this person by opening a trapdoor right under his feet. This person is manipulated into thinking that this will give him eternal life. It is heavily implied that this killed him. The two main characters then enter this village only to witness Baron Samedi and some other Haitian people performing a ritual to raise the dead. A single glass ball was placed on each grave, and this happened.
Thy souls are ignited to sire new life.
Yeah, so it's revealed slug-like aliens are literally hijacking the bodies of the deceased. It reminds me of the strangers from Dark City, who are also an alien species who can only inhabit the bodies of the dead. Vince and Logan both go towards the graveyard where the ritual took place after everyone had left. Out of nowhere, they are attacked by the corpses of the dead. This scene, despite the designs of the zombies being completely devoid of gore, is still pretty disturbing in the way it is framed. Now, even after all that, the episode hasn't even scratched the surface of the true horror it will present later. The Alliance try to find Fitz and Nick, but they find nothing, leading back to the first scene of the episode where True Blood presumes them dead. We then get to see the full scale of the Vodun's forces.
Kill the spiritual enlightenment.
Samedi then rants about how the Vodun can only survive by inhabiting the rotting corpses of other alien species. If you notice, the Vodun have an exoskeleton so they don't physically fall apart. The episode then takes a horrible turn. We see this.
This orb held Catan. He was a great Vodan warrior.
So, it's not enough that this episode has Slugs literally piloting the bodies of the dead, but have the abject horror of an alien ingested by a living person and driving both its host and itself mad by its attempt to take over the mind. Then, the show has the mind-numbing genius to also make us sympathize with the Baron and his species' plight. You know, if you've watched this far and still haven't subscribed to Roswell Conspiracies, then you definitely should. This is what you're missing out on, an entire series with writing and characters this level of quality, and even better. The literal only way to see this masterpiece of a show is to subscribe to the official Roswell Conspiracy. Fitz is then revealed to be alive, but unfortunately another test subject for the Voodoo. Nick Logan escapes his imprisonment and tries to stop the alien slugs from entering Fitz's mouth. We see the painstaking detail of this disgusting alien slowly crawl down into him. Just when it's about to enter Fitz's mouth, Nick disintegrates it with a powerful energy cannon blast.
No! Another life! Gone!
Baron Samedi is absolutely grief-stricken by this. A small squad of Alliance then join the battle after Nick manages to get their attention by firing a blast into the sky. They fight for a bit, and unfortunately a massive amount of the Vodoon eggs are destroyed by the Alliance. The Baron and his partner's subordinate, that Panther, escape on an Alliance ship. They then disguise themselves as two cadavers, perfectly recalling the earlier scene of the soldier finding the two corpses in the ship. Nick wakes up on a medical bed in the Alliance, and the Baron and his partner, also the remaining Vodoon eggs, are found missing from the morgue. And yes, if you are wondering, the Voodoo makes several other appearances in the series, and I'm quite as dark as this episode. I think I can confidently say that this is one of the darkest episodes of any kids' animation. What I love about this episode is that the Voodoo aren't intentionally malicious. They can only survive in the fragile bodies of the deceased. Baron Samedi mourns the death of any Voodoo, making him a multi-layered character, not intentionally evil, but willing to sacrifice everything for his people. Also, whoever voice acted this guy plays him really well. It portrays his grief in a very effective. Anyways, if this video does well, I'll make another video about the second and maybe even the third episodes where the Voodoo feature prominently.